Hi there. Well, I stayed up until 1:30 a.m. this morning watching the Microsoft live streamed event from New York City announcing the latest Surface products. And we were pretty keen to see what was going to come in the Surface Pro 7. Microsoft surprised us, of course, by not only announcing the Surface Pro 7, but also the Surface Pro X. Back in June, we put out a video identifying 10 things that we wanted to see in the Surface Pro 7. Did we get those 10 things? Well, sort of. But a lot of the things we were looking for, we found in the Pro X. Let's have a look in this video at what we got and what we didn't get in the Surface Pro 7. Oh, and by the way, the Surface Pro X is a completely new product in the Surface range, clearly designed for mobile workers. We'll go into depth in a separate video. The things you need to know now, it does have a different chip. It runs an ARM chip, and because of that, we can expect to see things like instant on, maybe better battery life, maybe a thinner form factor as well. Let's go and have a look at what we wanted, what you wanted, and see whether we got them in the Surface Pro 7, or maybe we found them in the Surface Pro X. At number 1, we had the USB-C port. And we're happy to say that we did get a USB-C port.
Our design and engineering focus has been on power, performance, and better experiences. And adding USB-C.
The chassis on the Surface Pro 7 is much the same as the previous model, Surface Pro 6. It still has the Surface connector. It also has the USB-A port, but now instead of a mini display port, we've got a USB-C port. On the Surface Pro X, we have 2 USB-C ports. So we got that. The second thing that we wanted to see was thinner bezels, and we didn't get this on the Pro 7 because it really retains a near identical form factor to the Pro 6. However, on the Surface Pro X, we certainly see a much bigger screen, a 13-inch screen in the same footprint as the Surface Pro 7. So we end up with these really thin, small bezels.
We know that size matters. We don't want to mess with that. However, we have a 13-inch diagonal, so from corner to corner on this screen, we did this by making the thinnest bezels possible on a 2-in-1 and that are out there today.
The third thing that we wanted to see was a lighter product. And we didn't get this across the board. The Surface Pro X and the Surface Pro 7 come in at around about the same weight as the Surface Pro 6. It's still one of the lightest products in its class, but we would have liked to see it be lighter. The fourth thing that we said that we wanted to see in the Pro 7 was a redesigned, improved kickstand. And well, we sort of got this in the Pro X. The Pro 7 retains exactly the same kickstand design as the Pro 6. Like I said, very similar chassis design to the Pro 6. But with the Pro X, we did see some glimpses of a newer hinge design. The product itself, the Pro X, is a thinner product than the Surface Pro 7.
It's 5.3 millimeters thin at its thinnest point. It's worth looking at if you can see that.
So we expect to see that that kickstand has been redesigned and improved. What we hope for is perhaps something that will hold its position better and maybe is a little bit easier to open and close. The fifth thing we wanted to see was better battery life. Now, we always expect to see better battery life in these products, and with the Surface Pro 7, they've gone to the 10th generation Intel Core chip, so we do expect to see an incremental improvement in battery life. And if we think about the Surface Pro series across its life, if you can remember back to the Surface Pro 1, we could sort of expect to get 2 to 3 hours of work time out of that device, and we can now get 6 to 8 hours depending on the model that you choose of the Pro series. So perhaps we're adding another 10 or 15% in battery life to that product. With the Surface Pro X, we don't really know what to expect until we get our hands on the product and put it through some real-world use. But Microsoft is saying that we should expect a 30% better battery life than the Surface Pro 7.
How do you create a combination of pixels, performance, thinness, battery life? How does that all come together with constant LTE connectivity? Let me introduce you to the custom Microsoft SQ1 chipset.
So switching to those ARM chips instead of the Intel chips hopefully will deliver us a much better battery life. The sixth thing that we wanted to see in the Surface Pro 7 was mobile broadband, or LTE. Now, they haven't announced LTE for the Surface Pro 7, and I think that's an interesting omission. I hope that they correct this down the track. Sometimes we do see 3 or 4 months down the track that Microsoft will announce that there is an LTE version of that product. But currently there's nothing said on a Surface Pro 7 LTE. That's kind of disappointing because that's really the key product for me. I'm still using a Surface Pro 5 with LTE. It has eSIM capabilities as well as physical SIM capabilities, and it's awesome. So I'm disappointed to see that that's not in the Pro 7 yet. With the Surface Pro X, LTE is built in and standard across all models, which is awesome. And it supports both a nano SIM card and an eSIM as well. The seventh thing that we wanted to see is pen charging. Now it looks like the Surface Pro 7 pen is pretty much identical to the previous models, just comes in a few different colors. So that means that it will have inside of it a 4A battery. That 4A battery will need to be replaced perhaps every 12 months or maybe more. So you'll need to keep a few batteries on hand with you over the life of the device. So it would have been nice to see that pen automatically recharge. However, on the Surface Pro X, not only have they introduced a rechargeable pen, they've also answered the eighth thing that we wanted to see, which was better pen attachment. In the Surface Pro X, they've included a new Slimline Surface Pen that automatically charges when it docks inside of the keyboard. It's a pretty cool little design, and it'll be interesting to see how this pen feels in the hand.
I'm going to open the type cover, and I'm going to pull out the pen that's stored right in it. This is the Surface Slim Pen.
The question is, will this new Slimline pen and new keyboard for the Surface Pro X also work on the Surface Pro 7? Hopefully we'll find out soon. We don't know yet. The ninth and 10th things that we wanted to see were really not related to the Surface as such. They were more Windows 10 and Office 365 features. They actually did a demonstration of the latest version of the ink editor in Word, which appears to be a really good revision because previously it wasn't really usable, and it looks like it's getting better and better.
The other thing that Word can do is it can now do inline editing, which means you can literally delete or add with your pen in the document.
And not only did they have that in Word, they also had the ink editor now in Excel, which would allow you to enter numbers directly into a spreadsheet using your pen. And this is a really awesome experience.
And what's even better is you can simply update it whenever you need to.
So I'd have to say that we're kind of getting our 9th and 10th wishes across the whole Surface range, which is great to see. So here's some of the things that you wanted to see in the Surface Pro 7. I had one comment on the channel saying they wanted to see a CD player. I'm not sure if this was a joke or not, but no, we didn't see a CD player, and I don't think we really expected to. A common theme across your comments was Thunderbolt support, and unfortunately, even though we got that USB-C connector, we didn't get Thunderbolt, and Microsoft really doesn't seem to be embracing this yet. Lots of you wanted to see USB-C, and of course we did get that. There was also a consistent theme with different pen attachment. A lot of people lose their pen with the Surface devices because of that magnetic attachment on the side. I really love the magnetic attachment in that the pen is always with you and very convenient, but it is very easy to lose those pens. We got this feature delivered in that new Surface Pro X keyboard. The ability to tuck the pen right inside the keyboard means that you won't accidentally drop it and lose it. Hopefully we can see that feature appear on the Pro 7 if we could use that keyboard with the Pro 7 as well. A number of you wanted to see a high-performance GPU card appear inside the Surface Pro like we see inside the Surface Book, something like an NVIDIA GeForce GPU that would add a lot of gaming and graphics performance to the Surface Pro. And again, unfortunately, we're not going to see that sort of product yet in this form factor. A number of you wanted to see new colors in the Surface Pro range, and we still have the black and the silver options in the Surface Pro 7. The Surface Pro X only comes in black, but we do have a new range of keyboard colors to choose from. And some of you wanted to see a bigger screen in the Surface Pro 7. Now we didn't get that in the Surface Pro 7, but we certainly got that with the 13-inch screen in the Surface Pro X. But there's two features that we got in both of these models that we didn't expect to get, and I think they're really important features. The first is fast charging. Microsoft is saying that they can charge a Surface device up to 80% in just 1 hour. Considering the huge size of the battery in these devices, that's a pretty amazing feat. So we're really excited to see that feature. And the last feature, and I think this is an amazing feature from Microsoft, considering the fact that their product is really, really popular in corporate and government organizations, is a removable SSD. Behind the Kickstand now, there's a little cover that you can remove, and you can actually take out the hard drive of the device. This feature is probably not really targeted at consumers, but it is so important for those big organizations that really need to protect their data. This is going to sell a lot of Surface devices. Look out for our upcoming reviews on the Surface Pro X and the Surface Pro 7, not to mention the Surface Neo and Duo, the foldable screen products that were announced for next year. Did you get what you wanted from the Surface Pro 7? Tell us about it in the comments below, or maybe you preferred the Surface Pro X. We'd love to hear from you. If you like this video, remember to give us the thumbs up and subscribe to our channel if you want to learn how to use one of these new Surface Pro products more effectively. Surface Pro products, Surface Pro, Surfaces, Surfi. All right. One more time. I got it. I got this.